So I don't know about you, but I am really in the mood to level up, really take 2024 really seriously. I feel like 2023 was this year of like emergence, building, creating the foundations. But 2024, there's a different energy and I want to boss this year. I'm sure you do too. I'm going to tell you how you're going to bridge that gap from your current self to your ideal self, to your kind of optimum self. I'm going to do this in two parts because there's so many things that I need to cover. I'm going to list 10 things that I am like implementing in 2024. Here we go. I'm going to premise these videos by a particular thing that you need to consistently follow amongst all of these things. And that is picking your poison. In order to develop good habits, in order to stay motivated towards your goals, you have to pick the initially hard option. So it's either like you pick the easy now. These are bad habits. These are things that are easy, but leave the person feeling fundamentally unfulfilled in the long run. On the other hand, there's the short-term hard. That is good habits, generally speaking, choosing yourself, which sounds easy, but actually is quite difficult and uncomfortable, actually contributes to you having long-term happiness, even though in the short term it's hard. So just keep in mind, watching this video and part 2, that the goal is to strive to pick the hard now that is going to contribute to the long-term, fulfillment, happiness that you are looking for. That's what I'm going to say. Success takes time. Success takes, failure, setbacks, hardship, feeling demotivated. Humans are not used to having things that take time to see the results of, that take time to see kind of like the fruit of your labor. We're very used to, on a sort of biological level, having our actions be gratified very instantly, which is why you need to write things down, which is why you need to hold yourself accountable, which is why you need to have journals, planners, so on. So I'm going to show you what I have in order to ensure that I track my goals. My first big thing that I have is my manifestation book. This is a fucking massive book. It's huge. Yeah, I just got it from, I think, Flying Tiger, and it's called Hattie Hyder's Manifestation Book. It helps me jot down my big goals. So in here, I have goal timelines for reaching a certain amount of followers on TikTok, how I'm going to do it, what I need to do to get there, like what kind of goalposts I'm aiming for. I also like note down here in like a little tree diagram. Is a bit shit, but I note down like all my little successes. So say if I get like, I don't know, when I get to like 5,000 followers or whatever, I'll note that down, or like, oh, my first viral video or my second viral video, and so on. So I'm like constantly holding myself accountable and like reminding myself of my progress. I think we often get demotivated because we don't have that instant gratification. So we have to have reminders along the way of what we've already achieved, because if we don't feel like we've achieved, we're not going to stay motivated. At the back, I also have like what my dream life looks like. So these are like the big goals. Writing down your big goals, right at the beginning, like what am I, what's my 5-year plan? What's my plan for 2024? What does my ideal life look like? And be quite detailed. I've got lifestyle in June 2024. This is what I'm aiming for in 2024. Like, this is what it's going to look like. What my lifestyle is like, what I have, what I do, where I am, all that kind of thing. And then I've just recently done this big one, which is goals I have for each decade of my life. So I've got like my 20s and 30s, and I've started on my 40s there. So I have this book of like my big goals. And this is how you're going to like filter this down to like your daily / monthly plans. So I saw this TikTok recently. It was like a lot of successful people plan quarterly, and that's what I've decided to start doing. So I've written like on here, what I want to kind of achieve quarterly, or what my goals are, certainly for the next 3 months. And how I translate that then to working on that by week is using this. So have a weekly planner. You can put in like, you look at your big goals and you think, right, what can I do like this month or this week to work towards that? Then I use my little daily goals and wellness planner, and each day you have like your schedule, your to-do list, and like, your daily plan, obviously looking after yourself at the same time. So I use this really, lightweight, quite helpful, very quick. I can do it in 5 minutes the night before or the day. So I've got like a little schedule, and then like what I kind of want to achieve that day. Then this is where the accountability stuff comes in. When I help clients with this sort of thing, I give them this, which is like the manifestation and reflection journal, because this is what holds you accountable, giving you tangible evidence of what you've done, how you've worked towards what you're working towards. And obviously manifestation and reflection come hand in hand. I work on doing, making sure I'm focusing on what I'm grateful for already. Gratitude is a massive thing. Gratitude is like the highest vibration you could literally be at, and doing that in the morning as well. So I've got it like here in the morning, I write down like 3 things I'm grateful for, like my family's healthy, I'm working towards my goals, and I'm satisfied in my work, and I'm healthy, something like that. Then I write down 3 things that I've done to work towards my goals. I look back at like what I've done in that day, and that might literally just be I went to the gym, or I cooked myself a nutritious meal, or I like answered an email, because it's not about the amount that you do per day, rather the consistency. I think 3 is sufficient. I don't think that you need to be like writing down lists. Like, you can feel good knowing that you've worked on 3. Great if you've worked on more in that day. And then I do like a little manifestation activity. It's really important to be able to like practice scripting, practice mood boarding, writing down your goals, like journaling, which, reflection is a massive part of that. Like, I try to reflect every day. If you had a shitty day, it's good to reflect, because instead of putting out negativity into the universe with your words, you can just get it out on paper, and it goes no further than the pages of that book. You're getting out things that have bothered you, or things that you've been contemplating on all day, onto paper, onto physical form, and then it goes nowhere. You're not complaining to other people, you're not like lowering your own vibe or anybody else's vibe, you're just getting it down, and then it kind of just like clears everything. I don't know about you, but the moment that I'm bothered about something and I just write it down, I almost feel this kind of like relief. It's kind of like I've unburdened myself. But essentially, it's really good to have like a big plan, and then you filter that down to like monthly or quarterly. Fill out your weekly kind of calendar. As you can see up there, I don't know if you can see, I've got like a little weekly calendar up there, not calendar, but like my plan for the week, me and my partner, so that we know what we're working towards. And side note, as you can see just here, I've got my 60th journal, but this is just my food plan that really just takes the stress away. It's gorgeous. Meal prep is such a burden, and this has just made it better. Like, it makes me feel so good. Anyway, it doesn't matter, whatever, side note. But the big goals you need to be setting are in these 6 categories. So financial, personal development or growth, relationships, career and business, if that applies to you, health and well-being and wellness, and finally mindset. So starting off with financial, understand your own finances, become financially literate. Something that I found really useful this year is using, if you have Monzo, using Monzo Plus, because what it does, it collates like all your debit cards and credit cards into one place, and then you can add or like allocate your transactions to certain pots, which helps you see what you're spending your money on, and therefore like limits you can put to certain categories. So like travel, bills, going out to eat, personal care, so on. It lets you like categorize what you're spending money on. Personally, for me, it's also really helpful because you can create your own categories. So because I have 3 businesses, it's really important that I know like what transactions are being allocated to those particular businesses, so I can work out, how much I've made, what my finances look like for my businesses separate from myself. So I have a category for any transactions to do with Hyder Club, any transactions to do with Hyder Creative, and any transactions to do with my life coaching. Working out how well I'm basically doing in business. And it's also helped me understand like my own spending habits. Like, there's certain things that I spend money on that I really don't need to spend money on. It's just helpful to just keep track of it, not to like make you fearful, but just so that you're like, cool, right, maybe I can work on that. Following financial content creators and understanding like investing and that kind of thing is really fantastic. Do your research. Burying your head in the sand, hoping that everything's going to be fine, doesn't help you in the long run. Facing the music with your finances will. For each category, I would just have like 2 to 3 goals. Don't overwhelm yourself, because these are going to be big goals, by the way. So for finance, it might be direct my disposable income to focus on self-development books and wellness activities. Another goal might be start putting 50 quid aside per month to put into an investment fund. That could be your 2 goals. Personal development and growth goals is my sort of next key category. These could be going to therapy, these could be meditating, manifesting, having morning routine. That's one of my big goals, because I know that when I do my morning routine, which is mantras, affirmations, meditation, 30 minutes of exercise, my particular breakfast that I make is called Winner's Breakfast, sets me up for success. It makes me feel motivated to carry out what I need to do towards my goals that day, because I've literally chosen myself the first thing in the morning. Another thing I want to work on is making myself aware of when I'm people pleasing, or when I'm not standing up for myself, or when I'm letting my boundaries slide. Having goals in your relationships are also really important, and that can obviously pan across, not just romantic relationships, but also your platonic relationships and relationships with your family. I would say, like, of my 3 goals, I would focus on family, friends, and then if you've got a partner, or if you don't, like how you're going to like set yourself up for the year to be enjoying your singleness or enjoying dating. For my family, I want to deepen my emotional connection with them. My goal with friendships is to surround myself with people that like me for who I am, and not as this sort of like people pleaser version of me. And then my goal with my partner is to just continuing to like remind each other of how much we care for each other and love each other. But of course, it might be something else. It might be, my goal with my family is to spend more time with them. My goal with my friends is to make more time for them, or start going to networking events or meetup events so I can meet new friends. Or it might be, I want to start taking control of my dating life. I'm going to start dating myself, treating myself as I would a partner. And hopefully, that will manifest or create this sort of self-love within you, as one way of getting the partner that you are looking for. Your career and business might be like, I'm working towards a promotion. I want to quit my corporate job. I want to go full-time as a creator or an entrepreneur. It literally might just be connect with my colleagues more and go out my comfort zone. So being open to presenting or hosting training programs. Health and well-being goals might be, the classic, I want to start heading to the gym once or twice a week and build up from there. It might be, okay, I want to introduce more fruit and veg into my diet, starting therapy, or listening to more content online about understanding my own emotions and self-awareness, and understanding my own brain and psychology. Mindset is a big one. My big mindset aspect that I want to work on is the success mindset, and not that victimhood. Getting out of that victim mentality, getting out of like, woe is me, why is this not working for me, why is this not happening, and instead focusing on taking action, focusing on the process and not the result, because that inevitably leads me to disappointment. So essentially getting detached, so detaching from the outcome, detaching from the result and what I'm aiming for, make sure there's not a mismatch between my expectations and reality. I understand that trusting myself and being authentic, even if other people don't like it, is what's going to help me become successful, and is what's going to help me become fulfilled. Because if I'm my authentic self, I'm not having to change for anybody, I'm not having to alter my personality or fawn or any of that stuff. I can just be my authentic self, still be, critical of my own actions and take accountability, but be my authentic self and draw in the right people. But a mindset goal of yours might be reprogramming my mind to have a better relationship with money, or changing my perspective on the way I see risk and how that contributes to my success or my lack thereof. These ones are less easy to tangibly record, but I suppose it could be, I stood up for myself today, or today I had the realization that I can take a small risk and the consequences are less bad than I expected, or something like that. Almost like evidence of the growth of your mind and how your mindset is shifting. Now that we've done our 6 main categories, is that you filter that down using your journals and planners into smaller goals. And I'll do a different video on that to kind of go into that in more detail. Invest in some tools that you can use to put into action those big goals that you've set in those 6 categories. Third big thing for bridging that gap between your current self and your ideal self, your desired self, is tracking your habits. Now, I know that a lot of people want to avoid this. I literally historically hate tracking habits, but actually it's quite satisfying. And when you get into it, it can be very rewarding. You have evidence then of, the fact that you're working towards your goal. It's going to help you stay enthusiastic, because inevitably the human condition is it's hard to maintain habits that are difficult. It's hard to maintain habits that require effort. Atomic Habits is a really great book. One of the things they suggest doing, and I've actually brought pots back from home, is in order to see like a physical manifestation and representation of you sticking to a certain habit, you can have a pot and you can put whatever you want in there. It could be marbles, paper clips, pins. For example, for me, every time I email a brand about a collab, I can put a little paper clip in there. Even if I don't get to the brand collab, I can quite clearly see that I've put in effort to work towards that goal of getting a brand collab. We forget really how good we're doing, how well we're doing. Even if it's like a cross on your calendar or like a tick, oh my God, it does something to your brain that is so satisfying, that makes you feel like, okay, cool, I've worked towards it. That little tick can just give you that boost of like, I've achieved today. I've worked towards something that matters to me. It holds you accountable and continues to make you feel motivated, not just for like that first dopamine hit that you get at the beginning of starting out on this journey. In order to create the life that you want, become that amazing person that you know that you can be, you have to actively work on growing. You have to also become self-aware. Those are the two things I would say that have been integral to, starting my 3 businesses and gleaning success from these businesses. You are standing in your own way, having a victim mentality. You are standing in your own way when you are unable to take accountability for not only your participation in other people's pain, but your participation in your own pain and your own suffering. You are not choosing yourself because you're unwilling to be critical of your own behaviors, be critical of your own toxic traits. That is not a recipe for success. It's going to take time and it's going to take energy and it's going to take, actively working on these things and clocking and practicing, taking accountability, setting boundaries, respecting other people's boundaries. For example, if I was unwilling to acknowledge the fact that I sometimes revert to this victimhood mentality of like, oh, maybe success isn't for me, maybe, business isn't for me, maybe I'm not truly meant to be an entrepreneur. If I succumb to those things for more than like 15 minutes, it is literally hurting me at that point. If I didn't have self-awareness and was not critical of my own thoughts and conscious of growing, I would let myself slip into that victim mentality and I would not get anywhere. The only person that is hurt when you have a victim mentality is yourself. That's an example of how important it is to success that you are self-aware. I historically find it very difficult to say no and stand up for myself. And I know that standing up for myself and saying no contributes to my success and is more aligned with my authentic self. And it stops me from harboring resentment. And resentment, again, is so unhelpful. It holds you back. No one has time for that. So the way that I prevent myself from getting resentful is to stand up for myself, is to set boundaries. And you don't have to do this in a mean way. Practicing saying no when the opportunity arises, or practicing setting boundaries and stating boundaries when the opportunity arises. Those are the kind of small moments that are going to contribute to you being like the person that you are and the person that you truly want to be, the kind of confident energy that you want to embody. Confident people state boundaries. Confident people stand up for themselves. Confident people don't have a victimhood or victim mentality. Increasing your self-awareness and committing to growing are going to bridge that gap, undeniably. The final thing that will bridge the gap between, your current self and the person you want to be is letting yourself be seen. Now, successful people will have a lot of eyes on them. That is just inevitable. Whether you want to be famous or not, successful people will have eyes on them, and people will be watching like a hawk what you're doing, what you're up to. You have to be okay with being seen and being like looked at. You, not just necessarily physically, but also just like digitally. You also have to be comfortable with criticism that comes with being seen. Anybody who is authentic, anybody that stands up for what they believe in, anybody that has an opinion, anybody that has a voice and has influence, has to recognize that criticism is going to be part and parcel with the success that they create for themselves. I'm not really accustomed to seeing many hate comments or like negative comments, to be honest, but I have been receiving a few more. And you know what I did the other day? Someone left a bunch of like negative comments on various videos, and I got so worked up and was like panicked in the moment that I just went and deleted it. and deleted the hate comment. In that moment, I was not letting myself be seen. If I want to be successful, I have to acknowledge that like I'm going to receive criticism, you know, something I'll have to work with and create mechanisms to protect myself from. But by deleting it, it's not letting myself like be seen. One video last week did really, really well. I got a bunch of subscribers from it. I was like really pleased. Then I scrolled down and the only 3 comments on this video were negative. Even though I got likes and even though I got views and even though I got subscribers, these were the comments that were left. And I logged it in my manifestation and reflection journal because I was so proud of how I let myself be seen. I saw the comments, I read them, hurt obviously a little bit, and then I was like, I'm gonna give myself 15 minutes just to get over it, just to kind of process it. Rest of the day, I was fine, didn't think about it, and I was so like almost like grateful for the comments. I was like, thank you. You are allowing me this opportunity to resist the temptation to respond, not waste my energy, and let myself be seen, even if it's negative. The fact that I actually took it so much better than I thought I was ever going to take it was a testament to how much I have let myself be seen and how much I've grown and how much I am okay with people commenting on what I do. That's one way you're going to bridge the gap between who you are now and who you want to be. People in the spotlight, people who are doing big things, people who are reaching for the stars are going to receive a huge amount of positive feedback, but also some negative feedback, and you have to let those things happen. That is part and parcel of that person that you want to become. That person receives negative and positive feedback. You have to start being that person now and receive positive and negative feedback. So that's it for part 1. Definitely stay tuned for part 2 because it's coming. Subscribe, put the notifications on. I will see you in part 2.